As I keep watching the news, I keep watching CNN. Yeah, I keep watching Fox too. I watch everything on Facebook and I see the distraction. Okay, I've tried to alert all of you on the different distractions, all the different activism, all the different political stances that you take. It's all a distraction. And this morning I was listening to CNN and they were focusing on the whole thing with QAnon. Is Trump behind QAnon? And the focus on Trump now using QAnon as his platform. Deep state, all the stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. He may not be wrong. All of you that are believing in a deep state, a cabal, may not be completely wrong. But that's not going to help you knowing that there are imbalanced people who are messing with people that you don't even know. Okay? When you have a deep state, a cabal of people, of pedophiles or whatever, we can try to save those that are not saving themselves, but when it comes down to it, everyone is individually responsible for their children and for their own welfare. So this trying to expose all the pedophiles and all of the different deep state people, okay, yeah, you're bringing things that were under the surface from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, MK Ultra, you know, child love type of stuff. You're exposing what was going on, but that's the very big distraction, because then you're seeing, along with all of these arguments and these focuses on imbalanced people, is they who, whatever the establishment, the industries that are making money off your body, they are normalizing the chip. What is a chip? Oh, it's not what you think. It's not a barcode. I mean, it is and it isn't. But it's not a barcode. It's not your phone. It is the chromatin immunoprecipitation, chromatin IP or chip, what is it? Internet protocol, IP, chromatin. So here it is. Chromatin well, I could say I, but see, then it also, IP, intellectual property, internet protocol, intellectual property, immunoprecipitation. There's a whole lot of things going on here. So chromatin immunoprecipitation, chromatin IP or chip, is an extremely challenging technique, and only antibodies of the highest quality, antibodies, anti-life, just so you know, will do. For an antibody to work in chromatin IP, it must be of a high titer, and it must be very specific, with no detection of non-target proteins. So there's a very specific intention, a target with these ChIP antibodies, which are the monoclonal antibodies, which is what they're trying to perfect in the vaccine industry, in the pharmaceuticals industry, because there are drugs called virus stun guns that are monoclonal antibodies. And I have it actually in my business post, in the pinned post, my business page, talking about monoclonal antibodies that are used in the pharmaceuticals world. And it's also being perfected in a vaccine. Most importantly, it must be able to recognize the target protein in its native chromatin associated context after fixation. Active Motif specializes in manufacturing high-quality antibodies to histones, histone modifications, and chromatin proteins, and validating them for use in chips, as well as chip sequences and chip. In addition, our epigenetics services team offers chip antibody validation services, in which we determine if your antibody is suitable for use in chip sequences, or chip. To help make your chip even more successful, Active Motif offers its complete line of chip express kits for performing chromatin IP, high throughput chips, sequential chip, and even RNA chip. The antibodies in the table below, which is the website that you'll see, have been validated for use in ChIP. Click on antibody name to see its complete information. To find specific antibodies, use the search box at the top of the page, or you can choose to see antibodies by various groups by selecting from the list under available products on the right side of the page. So the holistic allopathic industry, both holistic too and the allopathic, are trying to perfect an antibody that targets specific proteins in your 11 different systems. And they're normalizing antibodies as if it was protection. So first it's the masks. If they can say that, oh yeah, there's asymptomatic transmission of a virus. Viruses are prevalent. You can't stop a virus. But if there's asymptomatic transmission of a virus, you have to wear a mask. So it is conditioning you to accept what authority has deemed a way to protect you. And it is social conditioning. Now, some of us are rejecting it. Some of us are complying with it. That's what they're banking on, is that at least half the population will comply with the masks, which I do because I'm not going to go and start a ruckus. I can handle a mask, but there are some people, because I'm on jelly juice, but some people cannot handle a mask. Now, if you are doing it as a job, then yeah, you're going to have a lot more issues. You have to keep doing the J juice to be able to handle and adapt to your environment. But the masks are the first groundwork laid to get people conditioned to accept authorities' recommendations for protection. And then I'm listening to CNN where they're like, yeah, well, they give specified amount of days of where you're not transmittable anymore. So they said like 10 days and 3 days. So once you test positive for the COVID, they say at some point you're not transmittable. You're not going to be communicable. How can that be if a person who's asymptomatic is supposedly spreading the COVID? Then a person who has been symptomatic at some point, has been tested and tested positive and was symptomatic, how can eventually they be put out there in the public as to be safe? So you see, there's a lot of disconnects here. There's a lot of speaking out of both sides of the mouth. I mean, from their thought process, if you've ever been exposed to the COVID and tested positive, you should never be safe to be released out there in the general public because you might kill somebody. That's the rationalization of the masks. And then what's going on is that they're not putting credence in immunity passports. They're putting credence in vaccine passports, but not immunity passports, because immunity passports are where you're being tested for the antibodies. And they already deemed that antibodies don't stay in your body long enough to show that you've been exposed. They actually get released from the body sometimes. Maybe they stay in your body maybe 2 months because a really good immune system releases excess antibodies. So if they can't even rely on a test for antibodies, like a titer test for antibodies, then if you get the vaccine, that just proves that you received something that's going to stimulate your immune system to produce antibodies. So you won't have to ever get tested to see if you have it because you've been immunized with an actual vaccine. So this is why I say those that are needing a mask and feel the need for a mask, and those that are waiting for the vaccine, are the first ones that are going to be targeted, and they're going to be recycled back into the universe. They'll be the first ones. Already you're seeing the people who've been exposed to the COVID that are weak are not able to handle the environment. Oh, but it's a cancer and disease. They're saying everything is COVID, but it's really cancer. Cancer and disease is from antibodies from a new virus in the environment. Okay? Bronchitis, all the different aneurysms, heart attacks and strokes, when you don't survive them, it's because of the antibodies that have clogged up your blood vessels. Okay? So anyways, so those that are wanting a vaccine, those that are wanting a mask will be the first to be targeted. The next to be targeted are those that are strong enough for the virus and for the vaccine, but they're going to see years of their life being shaved off, and they're going to see their freedoms being suppressed. Oh, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do the vaccine. And I'm not going to comply. Well, then guess what? That's why they're doing the whole cashless society. They're going to be requiring those that work in companies to either be tested or show proof that you received the vaccine. If you can't show proof you've done that, you're going to have to quit your job or find different employment. And eventually, all the legit employers are not going to allow you to work for their company unless you show you have a vaccine or have been tested. But even testing is not 100% because sometimes antibodies don't stay in your body long enough. So what's going to be the ultimate proof for all the companies that are working with the government, which all of them are? If you have a social security number and you want to get paid, you're going to have to show proof of immunization, which is a vaccine. It's coming down the line. If you don't comply, then this is then when it comes to going to social functions, anything government related, driver's license, getting government benefits, you're going to have to show proof of vaccination. So those that are strong enough to not only handle the environment and the virus and who don't want to do the vaccine are going to see their freedoms being scaled back, and they're going to see years off their life taken because they're not doing the jilly juice. Those who are strong enough to handle the virus and the vaccine, or those strong enough to handle the virus, but don't want to get the vaccine or the mask and not doing jilly juice, they're going to have their freedom suppressed and their years taken off their life. So what does it come down to? No matter what, the government has you covered. You're going to have to prove that you're strong enough for the vaccine, the mask, and the virus. Masks will be done away with. But you're going to have to prove that you're strong enough for the virus and the vaccine and being able to assimilate to your environment. And that is taking part in the social constructs. And the more you resist, the more it's going to persist, the more they're going to clamp down. That's what I'm saying. Resistance is futile. The jilly juice releases the excess antibodies. You get the vaccine, you have proof of vaccination. If you go to a place where they give you the vaccine and they give you a piece of paper that says, here, this is your proof of vaccination, and it gets attached to your social security number or driver's license, you're home free. Now you go home and you purge those antibodies. You purge that chip, those antibodies that bind to your cells. You purge them. And you now look great on paper, and you're not subject to the biochemical changes. What's up, babe?
What are you doing?
I'm doing Facebook Live.
Well, hi, Facebook Live. What I'm going to do is try to get this done.
Okay, love you. Be careful out there. Stay cool. So that's what it comes down to, is eventually you're going to have to prove that you're stronger than the programming from the vaccine. You're stronger than the programming of out there, whoever it is. You can call it cabal, call it deep state, whatever. But no matter what, as much as I love Trump and who he is and what he's about, he doesn't understand there's a deeper thing going on. He's still tied in with the pharmaceuticals because he's promoting hydroxychloroquine, which is another antiviral. And when you take an antiviral, it destroys a host, because a virus is not alive. It needs a host. And when you are destroying viruses, you're actually destroying the cells of the host. So when you get a vaccine and you don't get any reaction, that's a very bad vaccine, because it has actually deadened. It has confirmed that you've already been deadened in the area that vaccine is targeting. You get a vaccine and you get a lot of different reactions, it's because your body is now in the process of upgrading. But now that's only one half of it. Now you have to support it correctly with the jilly juice. Okay? Awesome, Sharon. Hey, good morning. Just got my good. Read it, understand it. It's not a fun read, but it has a lot of facts in there to substantiate the microbiome, because jilly juice supports the microbiome, Sharon Harden Welch. And you're going to see that. You're going to see me list out the microbiome, the constituents of it, the viruses, the parasites, the protozoa, the protein, the fungus, and the bacteria. I give explanations on those. I don't go into too much detail about the biochemistry, but I do mention the fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And you know those are the building blocks of a human. and then I go into what antibodies are and why antibiotics, the hydroxychloroquine, which is an antiviral, all the anti-inflammatories, the anti-parasites, the antifungals, the antimicrobials, the antibiotics all actually destroy you at the micro level, and they suppress your cell regeneration. So you get deadened systematically, cell by cell, system by system. But and I do all these different saltwater flushes, and I do all these different detoxes, which are antibiotic. But the saltwater flushes are only half the battle. Just because you release excess antibodies in your poop, you haven't regenerated. And so when you have no cell regeneration, no maximum cell regeneration, because you have leaky gut, then antibodies will keep building up, because you also have stagnation, and you still have the predispositions because you're not regenerating at the micro level. Believe me, if saltwater flushes and laxatives alone were enough because you release the excess, then we would have people who were doing saltwater flushes and laxatives living indefinitely. But that's only half the equation. The other half is to rebuild your body from the ground up, and that's also feeling pain. Okay? Pain is evolution. And so Trump doesn't believe in pain as an evolution because he doesn't understand it. He's aging. His family is aging too, yes. Jared, Ivanka, and all of his sons, they're all aging and degrading. So even though they may sound great on one aspect, they don't understand what goes on at the cellular level as far as cellular regeneration. And if he truly was open to hearing what could be the counterattack against the cabal, okay? If you want to counter the information from the cabal, he would understand Jelly Juice and understand why I was being attacked. But he doesn't even acknowledge who I am. He doesn't, and he won't, because, you can figure that out. And Sharon goes, told my husband we will be covered for the vaccines. Don't worry. Covered for the vaccine. What do you mean by covered for the vaccines? Explain that more. Because here's the thing. At some point, the vaccines will be mandatory, or it will be contingent upon you taking part in government types of services, such as getting your paycheck, such as taking part in the work world, in the business world. And I'm going to share with friends. Yeah, you're right. So just so you know, if you get the vaccine, just do the J juice and purge the antibodies. Get the proof. Have it, and make sure they annotate that. Have it against your social security number, whatever, to show that you've complied. And then you go home and you do the waterfalls. Okay? You go home and you do the waterfalls, and you release that chip. You release that programming. Okay. So you're taking the juice, but you're still going to get the vaccine, right? You will still get the vaccine, get the proof. Right, Sharon? Get the proof. That's the most important. Once they have it out there and they say, okay, see, here's the thing. Even when you get the vaccine, make sure it gets annotated somewhere. Make sure it goes against your permanent record. Make sure to show that because you have to look good on paper. That's the whole point of this system, is that no matter what you do at home, because they really don't, they don't care what you do at home. That's why they put out there all the antibiotics and the antimicrobials and the anti-inflammatories. They don't give a crap what you do at home. But you have to comply with what their agenda is, which is saying, okay, we are going to try to evolve you because we're tired of seeing so many imbalanced people who are so weak and who are not assimilating, and they're activists and they're this and that. So they're thinking that, okay, well, what's the whole point of the vaccine? Not trying to kill you, but try to evolve people. But the thing, when you try to evolve someone that isn't prepared to evolve, their reaction is letting you know there's imbalances. So the people that are doing the J juice, they have a very good reaction. Okay, because they understand it. People that don't understand J juice, guess what? Their reaction's imbalanced. They're bullying me. They're sending me hate mail. They're stalking you guys. They are calling your house or doing some other stuff. That's an imbalanced person. So we know that anytime you try to impose an evolution on someone that's not prepared, they're going to react adversely, and it's not going to be in their favor or anyone else's favor out there. And so that's exactly what these vaccines are doing. is that they are imposing an evolution on people who are not prepared to do this. And people who think that they're prepared, but they don't know, they think in their mind they're prepared for it because they want the vaccine for protection, but their body can't handle it. Their body can't handle the upgrade. And yes, the system knows this because that's why there's medical exemptions. Okay? That's why there's medical exemptions. So Sharon, yes, you are covered by the J juice, but you still have to get the vaccine at some point. Because they're already saying that even testing for the antibodies isn't 100%, because if you test negative, well, they're like, well, you test negative today, you test positive tomorrow. How can these testing for the antibodies be anything credible to go by as somebody being immune to the COVID? So the only way that you can prove 100% immunity, 100% immunity, is not by the antibody tests. That's what they're rolling out there. The WHO is saying this, as well as CNN and Fox and all of that. They're like, oh yeah, these antibody tests are not 100% because these antibodies only stay in your body for maybe 2 months. And then are you going to then be reinfected? So what's going to be the 100% surefire to know that, to show that you've complied, you don't have to keep getting vaccinated every single time, is you get that one-time vaccine. Okay, and they're probably going to roll out one every year or something, no different than the flu shot, because they know the virus mutates. So this is going to be every single evolution, because that's really what's going on, is that we have people who are very sick, who are getting exposed to this virus, and they're mutating it, which is why they have the different types of vaccines, because you're not going to be immune against one strain. What does that immunity mean? It means you don't feel any pain. It means you're dead in those areas. So we're going to be constantly upgrading, and it's going to be tiresome for those that are weak. It's going to be tiresome when they don't do the jelly juice and they're adapting to all these different viruses that are mutating. It's going to be tiresome for those that are getting vaccinated every single year, getting a new strain, because it's more evolution that our body can't handle. So the only people that can handle the evolution of a vaccine, as well as the viruses in the environment, are those that are on the jelly juice, because they've already understand pain. They already do. They already understand the healing process. Since January, I'm feeling my body upgrade to the level of my environment. I had the sneezing fits, the mucus fit in the beginning, and that's when the virus got a hold of me and started binding to my cells and then upgrading me. And then I started feeling actual more revelations and exhibiting more revelations on the jelly juice. Then I would do the jelly juice, purge out the excess antibodies, okay? And then feel another mutation. My dog even felt it too. She had the shakes for a while. She had some other symptoms that I had to go and deal with. And then I gave her the jelly juice and she adapted just fine. Then I got that splitting headache for like 6 days. Okay? So every single time you adapt to a new environment, your body has to go and adapt, and it depends on where your weaknesses are. And it depends upon how heavy that upgrade is, because some of these viruses and vaccines have a very heavy evolution programming. In the world of the jelly juice, a very bad vaccine is the one that you don't feel anything. Okay? Because if they're requiring a vaccine, it means that there is a new virus in the environment that's causing the substantiation of why people are dying. They're like, oh, people have been dying all the time. Now, I've been seeing people die exponentially on my Facebook. Oh my God, this person, that person. They're like, oh, it's all what people focus on. Not necessarily. Some people could have lived through the flu virus, but they can't live through the COVID virus because it's a new virus. It causes more antibodies. Okay? So I just want you to know that at some point the vaccines are going to be mandatory. And Sharon, you'll be able to handle it. No matter what, you'll be able to handle the mandatory vaccines if and when they become available. And a vaccine is no different than the virus in the environment, and then it's in your microbiome. Okay? What's in a vaccine is just the viruses, parasites, protozoa, protein, fungus and bacteria, minerals in your environment. Yes, they have specific names sometimes that you're like, oh my God, formaldehyde, oh my God, mercury, oh my God, baby fetus parts, or whatever. It's all the microbiome, okay? All of it is. Yeah, it doesn't sound enticing to put aborted fetus cells in your body. It doesn't sound enticing to put formaldehyde in your body. It doesn't sound enticing to put mercury in your body. But a very strong immune system will be able to assimilate, and then the body will take what it needs from that vaccine constituents and then release the excess through the waterfalls. Okay? That's what you have to understand, is that on a strong, strong body, the virus, your environment, Monsanto, GMO, all of that, you'll be fine on a strong body. You'll handle all of that biodiversity, because all it is just biodiversity. Okay? But on a weak body, when you already have biochemical imbalances, you're going to have to upgrade to the level of your environment, which means that you're going to have to feel the symptoms. And then and this is where all of the activists comes from, because the bodies are trying to upgrade, and people are not prepared to upgrade. And then they look at the chemtrails in the sky, they look at the 5G, they look at Monsanto, they look at all the fear campaigns around fluoride, and the holistic allopathic industry are inducing fear, going like, oh my God, the fluoride, oh my God, the GMO, oh my God, Monsanto. And then they have a remedy for you that's just as, that it's the same thing, if not worse, or just as bad. Oh yeah, take my antibody-inducing protocols. Okay, vaccines are antibody-inducing, however, they're also an upgrade because it's a virus. But the reason why it induces antibodies is because you have a weak body. You know, when you're doing the jelly juice and you're bringing up antibodies to surface, you're seeing them come out of your body, so to speak, but you're also feeling it, but you're also feeling the healing process. That's the pain process. But when you do the waterfalls, you're releasing the excess antibodies that were the ones that were punching holes in your gut. Because that's what the antibodies do, is they actually destroy cells. They punch holes in the cells. And that's what leaky gut is, and that's why you're not absorbing at the maximum level. Okay? But here's the thing, Sharon Hardin Welch. The hair that bit the dog, like, let's just pretend that you're an alcoholic, and I know you're not. But let's pretend on a person that's not an alcoholic. Let's say that a person drank a bunch that evening, right? And their body slid easily into that microbiome. And then the next day they got a hangover, which is the body now trying to evolve and adapt to a body with no alcohol, because the body is now purging out and then recalibrating, reconfiguring. Well, they say, well, drink, whatever drink that you had the night before in the morning, so that way you can easily adapt. Well, that's no different than the vaccine, okay? The vaccine that you take right now, your body is going to be able to adapt to it. You have to face that demon, okay? And when you face that demon, you're going to realize that demon in that vaccine is really not a demon. It's your body that is able to fight off the demon. So you got to face, like, the hair that bit the dog. People don't, like, I don't want to drink the margaritas that got me so messed up and throwing up and everything. Well, sometimes that's what it takes for you to feel relatively better. Well, that's no different than with this vaccine. Sometimes you have to face the vaccine to see how strong your immune system is and how strong your body is, and face the evolution. Because no matter what, you're going to have to, right now you're aging. All of you guys are aging if you're not doing the J juice. And that is because of your imbalances in your microbiome, and you're not bringing the right chemistry. So yes, J juice will definitely help you guys out. It will help you support you during whatever campaigns are out there. And right now you're seeing the mask deception being laid out as a beta test to see how many people are going to comply, who is not complying, who's going to be ripe for, secret police taking you off the street, quarantining you, jailing you in your own home, making you wear an ankle bracelet. Okay? I mean, all of this stuff with the BLM and the Antifa, total distraction. The elections, total distraction. As much as I want to say, okay, Trump is amazing, he is in some aspects, but he doesn't understand your body at the micro level. He doesn't understand his own body at the micro level. Okay? So you have to see past all the distractions and really focus on the healing process. Because no matter what, you're going to feel your predispositions. A virus will bring up your predispositions regardless. A vaccine will bring up your predispositions regardless. Some people are so dead they don't feel anything. Okay? And they're immune because they're dead. Not all the way, but they're mostly dead. Oh, but because they're not doing the J juice. Those that are on the J juice will feel aggressive adaptation, will feel aggressive evolution. But if you've already adapted to certain evolution, you're not going to feel anything. So I said there's two sides of the spectrum. This is where you're on the J juice and you're basically healed and sealed. This is when you are on a death trajectory and you're being exposed to a virus or a vaccine, but on this side you're healed and sealed, so you're not really going to react to anything because you already have the cells in the body that's already purging out the excess. You might have a few mucus, stuff in the morning. But on this side, if you don't feel any reaction from a vaccine or a virus, your body where those viruses are targeting are already anesthetized. They're already dead. And that's why it's all about as above, so below. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And so you have to understand that the J juice is the evolution process. It actually brings up the evolution in your body. The vaccines will too, but on a weak body, those that are not doing J juice will not be able to handle the environment. And those that are doing J juice will already be going through the predisposition healing process. And it's going to be influenced and encouraged by the vaccine as well as the viruses in your environment. And then the J juice is going to repair and purge simultaneously. So that's why I say, you guys, that's why I gave you guys clues on how to get along in this new society. Okay? If you get tested right now for the COVID and you test positive, you're going to be under quarantine. You're going to be under quarantine. You're going to be under the control of the health department. You're going to be tracked. All your movements are going to be tracked. Everything is going to be tracked. You might even be subject to experimental tests because they're like, oh yeah, you tested positive and and we have a new drug and that. Okay? So try to avoid being tested for the COVID until it becomes mandatory, and even then. Okay? And then if you do get tested and you test positive, like I said, you're going to be under quarantine. So then it's waiting for the vaccine. Once you get the vaccine, you're home free because now you've shown proof that you can handle the vaccine, you complied, and you're going to do the J juice and you're going to purge out the ChIP. You're going to purge it out. And then you're going to recalibrate your body to what it was originally intended, taking on some of the data, but it's not going to overwhelm you. The reason why people die sometimes from these vaccines because the body isn't adapting to the level of the data that's being applied to them. And so the data of the vaccine as well as the virus then overwhelms the body and over programs it to where you can't handle the amount of information because of the amount of antibodies that are being produced. Okay? So why people survive viruses and vaccines is because either that virus that's targeting a system doesn't have any life to it anymore, or they've gone through their adaptation, the mucus and the headaches and all of that, and their body adapted, but on a body that's not applying the right chemistry. They might be relatively okay, but their belief system and lifestyle is laying the groundwork for the next year that the virus mutates, the next year a new virus comes out. The aging process is the body's degradation process. It's the compilation of predispositions and the wrong chemistry being applied that will eventually turn out to exotic diseases to where people do not survive from, like Parkinson's, like ALS, like all of these motor neuron issues, all the autoimmunities like MS. And that's the body trying to adapt, and it's stuck in a loop and it cannot evolve. Okay? So you have to understand what we're dealing with here. So I'm telling you, those on the J juice will be able to survive the environment regardless. Yes, sharing, you're telling your friends and your family, that's a very good thing. Now getting them to understand that if they don't take the vaccine, it's not going to matter if they do J juice if their freedoms are being suppressed because the government doesn't feel that you are being generous and empathetic to those around you, because that's what also is going on with the whole thing with the masks. If you don't wear a mask and if you don't get a vaccine, you are inconsiderate of your environment and of your community. So now the next step is, once they understand what the jelly juice can do, release the antibodies, release the chip, release all of that stuff, then it's getting them used to that, okay, they do a vaccine, it's not going to kill them, it's not going to maim them, it's not going to hurt them. You have to go through an evolution process regardless. And it's not going to be just for their specific symptoms that they know about, it's going to be for everything that they don't even know about that's going to come to surface, and to be prepared for that. Okay? So I wish all of you good luck in this, but this is the most strategic, circuitous, insanely trippy world that we're living in. Jelly juice is very strategic. What the medical holistic industry is doing, and the anti-vax and the pro-vax and all that stuff, very strategic. You have to be able to beat them at their own game and still look like you're complying. But then, oh my God, Jillian, how, you're putting everything out on Facebook. You're showing them what you're doing. Exactly. You want us to get a vaccine? We'll get a vaccine. And guess what? I got the jelly juice. I'm purging out the chip, the antibodies that are programming me for whatever it is that you're trying to do. They're not going to ban cabbage. They're not going to ban salt. Salt is necessary in every aspect. Humans need salt. It's in the IV fluids when you go to the hospital to get finally rehydrated because you're so dehydrated. Salt is in everything. They're not going to ban the salt. But what the elite are banking on is you don't want to feel pain. That you're afraid to shit and have waterfalls. That's what the medical holistic industry is banking on. And so that's why they focus on the salt and the waterfalls on Dr. Phil. Not on the nutrition of the cabbage and kale, no. It was the salt and the waterfalls. Oh, she's dehydrating you, and the salt's going to kill you, and do this and do that, and da-da-da, it's going to dehydrate. No. Cause high blood pressure. And then those 3 people on the panel across from me, total, brainwashed, totally think that pain is what causes people's death. No, it's your imbalances that cause people's death. It's the amount of antibodies that you hold in your body that you're not releasing is what causes you death. The fact that you're holding on to shit in your body. The fact that you're okay with taking antibiotics. The fact that you're okay with taking vaccines without supporting your body correctly. That's what kills you. And that's exactly what Dr. Phil focused on. He's not even a doctor, he's a philosopher or some shit. Not even medically licensed. So, and Dr. Yadin sells supplements. Beverly Hills doctor. La di fucking da. So, good luck to all of you guys. We are in the war of a lifetime. But it's not out there. It's in here. So, good luck. Y'all gonna need it. Alright. Do Jelly Juice. JillyJuice.com. Get the book. And start the healing process. Get the waterfalls. Alright, bye.